Dude, what are you doing? That's disgusting.
I just wanted to get high, man.
We gotta clean that shit. You know better.
Alright.
You're listening to Candid Cannabis Conversations, a show where the title says it all. Here are your hosts, Strain Slayer and Blunt Betty.
Welcome to Candid Cannabis Conversations. Today we are talking about cleaning our pieces, keeping the environment clean, and what to do with all this trash.
Absolutely. And I use the word, I'm so tired. But we're doing something new today, too. We are on video.
Oh shit, they can see us.
They can see us now.
Oh fuck. I think I need my sunglasses. This just isn't my look if they can see us, you know?
I know. I have no makeup, no sunglasses.
There we go. Now it's a Strain Slayer, you guys know. What up?
There he is. There he is.
Alright,
well you were trying to you were trying to hit a really gross bong earlier, and I stopped you and saved you.
Yeah, I was, I think I medicated a little too much last night. Somehow there was some grapes and some cereal floating around in the water, but we got that all cleaned up now. She's looking pretty.
Look at that.
Thanks for stopping me, not letting me smoke that.
Yeah. Friends don't let friends smoke dirty bongs.
No, they don't. It's bad for your health, and you look stupid, so stop doing it.
Yeah, and you might suck a grape up. So we have talked about going to video for a long time, and this is our first opportunity, and we thought what better visual way to show you the waste in the industry than to spread it all out here across the table, show you how we clean our things and how we deal with the residue left behind in jars. So
Yeah.
It's weird not talking to you. I feel like I'm supposed to talk to the camera, but like when I talk to somebody, I look at them.
The way I look at it is like I did TV news, so it's kind of like sports anchoring. We're talking to the camera, but occasionally we'll look at each other and talk.
Yeah.
Still into the mic, but still talk to each other, and it looks natural. It's fine. You know, just back and forth.
Cut. I need this.
We need cameras right here, like, so that when you do look at me, it's like we get an angle from here, like you looking straight
Yeah,
at me.
yeah, there we go.
The whole video thing's a work in progress, but I'm liking it. This is nice. I think we can give people the visual, like you were talking about. I mean, we can sit here and on podcast talk about the waste all day long, all the jars, all the packaging, all the bags, and you know the child-proof packaging. Are you having a difficult time with the bowl over there?
I got it. Yeah, it just took me a minute.
The downstem locks. If you quarter turn it, it'll lock in place, and then when you go to pull it, the bowl won't come out. But it happens to me.
Well, if I know where to hold it too, it helps. Woo! What is that? That's nice.
That's a mix of HSO sour diesel from Rise and Three Boys
Vanilla berry pie.
vanilla berry pie, right?
Yeah.
That's a
Sweet
tasty
diesel.
mix.
Yeah.
Sweet diesel taste.
Yeah.
And that sour diesel has like a peppery aroma to it, so sweet peppery.
You can't go wrong with sour diesel.
No. There's better sativas out there. It's kind of an old strain, but
But it's like one of those basic things that.
yeah.
I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's like so basic and so like it's like a cup of coffee or something. Like you don't need it to be real fancy. You just want
Right.
something basic.
It is. It's a balanced sativa that's like, you know, it's heady, but I think part of like the terpene profile kind of dials that back a bit, so you get a nice chill buzz from it too.
Yeah.
I don't
Look
know.
at that.
But yeah, trash.
Yeah, look at it all.
It's
Again.
insane. And again, this is nothing. This is literally just a little bit of trash I had from my, like one of my drawers, two of my drawers, and some of the stuff that you had sent around. So
Yeah.
to say the least, it's a little ridiculous. I noticed right from the beginning, you know, when I first got my card, the first time I went to the dispensary, I walked out with 6 products and 10 pieces of packaging. I was
Right.
like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things in particular that bother me on this table the most, because some of it is cellulose or sugar-based, and it will biodegrade. Some of it is paper-based. Even the glass, I mean, that is recyclable stuff. It's a lot of waste still, regardless if there's a recycling or not. But I think what really bothers me, the butane bottles, obviously, I think, are a really big deal.
Right.
I don't know how you feel about them, but that's like a extra double whammy environmental waste.
Yeah, I mean, we both dab quite a bit, and I know I go through cans of butane, you know, maybe 1 can a week when I'm dabbing quite a bit, so.
Yeah, and then the cartridges.
Oh, yeah, the cartridges especially.
Because, like, how do you recycle?
It's plastic, it's glass, it's...
Metal.
Metal, it's there's so many components to it. Unless there was a facility breaking them down and disassembling the components glass with glass, and which there's not. Nobody's doing that right now. So what do we do with all of this?
Right. And everybody, we've seen the meme that says, cartridges are the new roaches. The problem is roaches biodegrade.
Right.
The cartridges aren't. And
No.
yeah.
I mean, there's ways to use the rest of the oil. We've talked about them before, but, with old cartridges or old glass jars, you can definitely get the medicine out. So that's not a big deal as far as waste is concerned. But, after the fact, now you've got these empty glass jars, you've got these containers. What do you do with them? Dispensaries don't have an answer for us either.
How would you get the medicine out of a cartridge? How would you go about that process? Because I've never bothered. I just toss them or give them to you. Let you deal with them.
So a couple different ways. If they don't have too many plastic pieces or O-rings, you can throw them in like a boiling pot of butter, and the butter will absorb the THC out of them. You can actually eat it like an edible. Being that most of the dispensaries here in the state of Florida are all using just straight distillate and terpenes, there's not really any cutting agents that would be unsafe to eat. So.
But what if they are using cutting agents, then is it safe to eat, or if they're using something that's thinned out? Or?
Well, even here in Florida, the only cutting agents anybody's really using is MCT oil, which is safe to eat. That's in a lot of supplements and vitamins and things like that. So I'd rather see people eating MCT than vaping, and actually,
yeah, me too.
I'd like to see vaping MCT go away completely.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. All this stuff in the news recently going on and everything, but that's a whole topic upon itself.
Very true, yeah.
Yeah.
What's kind of funny about that, not to get completely off subject, but people are freaking out about the whole vaping thing. There was 6 deaths, and I don't mean to downplay anybody dying, but when you look at cigarettes, you look at, so many other things that are killing thousands, tens of thousands of people.
Right.
There's just one little scare about vapes, and now people in legitimate medical markets are concerned about vaping their medicine. It's like, God, you guys have no clue. This was just a small fraction of products. They were black market, and you don't have to worry about that in a legal market like we have here in Florida.
Well, I think what frustrates me is that in several of the articles that I have read, they have talked more specifically, and I've seen other industry professionals talk more specifically about the use of cheap cartridges, and that's actually more dangerous than the additives or the cutting agents that they're using. But nobody's talking about that, and I don't understand why nobody's biting on that. It's like the trendy thing is to bite on the additives or the cutting agents. Right. I keep saying additives, but the cutting agents. I don't understand why nobody's asking about these cheap cartridges either.
No, I agree. Some of the old WIC systems or some of these cartridges that are using cheap metals, and you shouldn't be vaping nickel and aluminum and all these things. So if they're not using medical grade titanium and the proper.
So sorry about all that distraction. So where were we at?
I honestly have no clue.
Shit.
We could roll back and figure it out, but whatever. I think it's more interesting to the listeners when we just forget what the fuck we were talking about and just move on.
See, normally you guys, we edit all this out in the audio part, but we're caught on video and now we're busted.
Busted. Yeah, nothing we can do. Whatever. I'm just gonna top this bowl off and take another hit and call it a day.
Sounds like a good idea.
So you were telling me one of your methods earlier for recycling concentrate with the concentrate jars, and I thought it was kind of cool. It reminded me of mandala. What is that thing called? Mandala or whatever, with the little
dots,
with the little marbles, and you got to take the marbles from each divot to the next in the wooden board.
Oh, Mancala. There's a C in there, isn't
Mancala.
there?
Yeah, Mancala.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it reminded me.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So we have all these empty jars. We've got a whole bunch of clean ones over there too that I've already washed out, but they're full of medicine still. It's really sticky, gooey medicine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crumble and sauce and whatever other people get in jars left behind in the jars. So I kind of have an issue with that because I don't want to waste it. I also do this method, and I should say that I've only vaped it or dabbed it once when I've done this, and mostly it just sits around in the jars. And it never does anything after that. But what I do is I put just a little bit of alcohol in. Oops, well that's too much, but that's okay. I don't have glasses, and this is just for video purposes. Anyway, put some alcohol in the jar, give it a good swish, clean it all around, blah, 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 yay. And then you pour it in another jar.
All right.
And then you do the same thing, and you keep kind of processing down the line. But I do eventually, I start adding some fresh alcohol in the old jars, because starts getting gooier and stickier and thicker, and it like starts leaving more and more residue behind in the old jar. So I kind of go through with the second little batch, and that's where the Mancala thing was coming into play that you were talking about, is kind of passing it down. And then I keep kind of going through that whole process. I make sure it's all clean and clear, pour it in another jar, and then eventually it kind of gets down. This might be the jar that's got a broken lid, and I may need you to open it if you can.
Gotcha.
If you can, I think I have a second one here.
Not letting the jar beat me.
So, and you can see there's like, they may not be able to see, but you can see there's quite a significant amount of medicine in there.
Right.
And like the 1 or 2 times that I have dabbed it, I use a nectar collector once. I'm gonna catch my house on fire.
Right.
See how that goes? That's real safe, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, you can put the nectar collector right down in there, a dipper or something like that, and boom, you're good to go. I mean, so
at the end, all the alcohol ends up in one container, and then you're just purging it out by leaving it out and letting the alcohol evaporate out of it for several days. Now, you said something about possibly whipping it or something, but see how thin that is? There's not like much in there. I'm not sure you could do much with that. There's not much in that. It would be hard. But another thing you can do is like you could take that last glass and put it on your coffee machine and turn the heat on, and the heat from the coffee transferring through the glass would actually help purge some of that alcohol out.
Okay.
But leaving it out for a few days would work really well, but at the end, dabbing it, I mean, some people will dab it, other people have issues because obviously there's been alcohol. But it makes a great topical. It's, you have THC, it's activated now. It would make a great topical.
Right. So, but yeah, I do really just hate everything that's the idea of just tossing all that. There's a lot in there.
I know.
So that's one of the methods that I've tried. I'm not saying it was a successful method. I'm not saying it's the best method. It's just something that sometimes you got to experiment.
Yeah. I mean, I tried the hair dryer method. If anybody follows me on Instagram, you saw that I took a bunch of those empty jars, turned them upside down on parchment paper, took a hair dryer to them. Probably could have used a heat gun more efficiently, but 20 minutes later, it was hot enough that some of it dripped out, and the residual that stuck to the glass, I took a nug and actually wiped the glass out with the nug to like kind of make a moon rock. So that worked also.
Well, there you go.
But we're still left with the question of, once you're done with all that, you still have all these empty glass jars, plastic lids, And right before this episode, I actually did a little research. I called all of the dispensaries individually, give them a chance to find out, what is there for patients to do with this, all this glass, all this plastic. And sadly, none of the dispensaries really have an official recycling program. So what do we do with all this?
What about True Leaf? I thought they did, or do they not? I'm sorry if that was mistaken.
They don't have an official recycling program. I know I've heard a lot of patients taking their products back to True Leaf afterward, but I don't know that they actually have a full recycling program. I'm not sure what happens to it afterward.
But they do have the bins out still?
They have recycling bins. Yeah, they do
All
have a place where you can go into True Leaf and drop, things like that for sure. But I would like to see a uniform system to where all these dispensaries are actually recycling, not just tossing. I don't know if this stuff's ending up in landfills or where it's going, but we definitely need some sort of a recycling program.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, there's a lot of things that can be recycled, like in your recycling bin. There's a lot of cardboard, glass, and the glass. Most of the plastics that I've seen do have the recycling symbol on them, and they can be recycled. But it's still going into the recycling waste management. It's still going out there in the world. There's, and I think we talked about this earlier. We'll save up all our bottles and jars because we think, oh, well, this is such a waste, so we're gonna reuse them, and then we have this huge pile of trash in our house that never ever gets used again.
No.
And then that kind of gets ridiculous, and then we get frustrated and we throw it all in the recycling bin anyway.
Yeah, and there's kind of questions about that, like what can and can't be recycled. If there's still some THC residual in a jar and I throw it away, now the trash guy is hauling it. Is he at risk of transporting illegal medication? You know what I mean? It sounds funny, but there's not been a definitive line on this drawn, or nobody's come out and said specifically that it is okay to do this or that with empty containers.
And I think that's why a lot of the dispensaries aren't necessarily sure what to do either, because then you're bringing THC back to them, and you know that's not allowed. And even if it is a trace amount, it's still there.
Right.
So
it's kind of a gray area right now. I mean, most of us are pretty creative people. We reuse the jars for knickknacks, and you can put old screws and shit that you're never going to use again.
I've seen some kind of old school guys, some other people in Instagram requesting some jars for some stuff that they're working on and they're making. And so I think we can find a way to reuse some of these jars. I bet we've got some friends that will be happy to take them off our hands.
That is true, yeah. Some people might want to refill them with things and resell them. But for the majority of us, not all of us have access to those people or, maybe necessarily want to deal with those type of people. So, I don't know.
And I can say, if you have a better working mind than my mind, I encourage you to take your bags and just bring them back in the store with you and have them refill your bags. But what I do is pile them all up in my truck and leave them all over the floorboard because I forget about them.
There's probably 20 or 30 dispensary bags all floating around my car right now.
Yeah. And a lot of people will reuse them for different things. I found I have a little paint palette, and I'll mix different colors of paint in them, and then I can keep it longer in these bags because they're sealable.
Right.
So I can use that. So I guess you really could put like sandwiches and bring your like lunch in those kind of bags.
True.
I mean, they're sealable. Why not?
And the sealable ones, they do make good beach bags also. You can put like your phone and electronics at the beach. You can throw them in those bags because most of them are waterproof. So.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Boating bags, beach bags.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Just something.
What do you guys do?
Yeah, seriously. Anybody listening, watching? Hey, watching.
Hey, yeah.
If you guys have any other ideas or, cool creative ways that you guys deal with your dispensary trash, definitely send it in. Let us know. You can DM me on Instagram. You can always hit up Blunt Betty at askbluntbetty.com. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. Oh, here we are. Lost in space again. It's different doing a video, you guys, I'm telling you. It's a little nerve-wracking.
I know. I feel like I should be doing more things with the video.
Yeah.
More entertainment to the video.
Yeah.
I normally talk with my hands more, but I'm like sitting like this, so I don't know. It's all good.
I learned a valuable lesson when I got married.
Did you?
It's about hand placement in videos. I'm a very nervous, fidgety person, so during my whole wedding video, which is just from maybe like halfway up, down at the bottom of my chest up, and focused on me, I'm playing with the front of my dress the entire time. I'm in the video like this the entire time, and all you can see is my arm moving like this. Yeah, it didn't look good at all.
Oh, man.
And now when I fidget, I'm more careful about where I fidget.
Your husband probably didn't mind. He's like, yo, check this out. This is our wedding.
He had his own issues going on. He had a deer fly flying around his head. If you know what a deer fly is, yeah. I'm sure a lot of you out there don't know what a deer fly is, but you've lived in the country in Florida. I don't know if it's just south, but there are these little yellow flies with like brown spots on them, and when they bite the fuck out of you. They're not like, here.
Oh, yeah, you got a joint sitting right there.
Yeah, it's kind of a little joint, but it's some form cut cookies from
Whatever. You want me to light it?
Yeah, light it up.
All right.
But yeah, so he had that flying around him, but he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. So like during the vows and everything, he's all like, and I didn't know any of this because I was so nervous. Looked like I was playing with myself.
That's hilarious. It's gonna be a good wedding video.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the 90s Southern Belle look was so attractive on me, too. I just figured I'd keep doing this alcohol thing as we were talking, just because I have nothing else to do, and I'm going to have to clean all these jars anyway, so what the hell.
I'm over here just massaging this joint because
I packed it bad.
Oh, did you roll this?
I packed it.
Oh, well,
it's a cone.
No, I thought this was a pre-roll. So.
No. It was a blunt Betty roll.
A Betty roll. Okay. Well, shit. I'm going to massage it then. You said that's form cut cookies from Move?
Yes, that is what that is.
Very nice. I've had form cut cookies in so many different ways. I've had it in shatter, I've had it in RSO, I've had it in flour, I've had it in crumble.
Gold even maybe for me. I'm not positive, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Not bad.
Look how gold that's starting to get.
Oh yeah.
After a few jars.
Just keep
so.
transferring it, and you're just
Yeah.
picking up a little bit of, concentrate from each jar.
Like you said, even if you make a topical out of it, you've got, at least you've reused some of your medicine and you tried to get as much as you could out of there.
God damn, that tastes so good. It's got like a tropical fruit flavor to it. It literally tastes like a bowl of Fruit Loops.
Does it?
It does. Come find out.
I don't believe you. I don't believe anybody.
Is it just me, or does that taste like Fruit Loops?
Yeah, it has a fruity. Yeah.
Very fruity. That's the only way you can taste weed properly. You got to make that noise.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I always do when I'm reviewing a strain or like really trying to get a terpene profile, other than drinking coffee, like drinking coffee when smoking weed brings out the flavor profile big time. But if you push your tongue to the roof of your mouth and like exhale, you can, I don't know, it just like really pushes the flavor out. You can really taste and smell it.
I will never be a connoisseur by any means, but I totally can see where the flavor profiles in cannabis would be even more exciting than what people do with wine.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Wine tasting and stuff like that.
Especially when we start pairing different cannabis strains with different foods and drinks and different activities, and I don't know, there's just so many different, just cannabis terpenes even. When cannabis is more affordable and we can infuse things with cannabis terpenes like candles and just the aromatherapy value alone.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to be all sticky here pretty soon. My fingers are already like...
You got alcohol right there.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, that is tasty as hell.
It is. I'm a little bit of a flower hoarder. Like, I'll buy some flour and I don't just use it all up. Like, I have to like keep little bits here and there. So that's probably a couple bits old, a couple months old, been stashed away in
Still
a nice
tastes great.
dark jar. And
Yeah, it tastes awesome. I wish I could be a flower hoarder, and as much as I try, like sometimes I'll set a nug aside and be like, all right, I'm saving this nug, and I want to save a nug from each jar. I just can't do it anymore. I
Yeah.
used to do that in Colorado. I had a legacy jar, but I don't know. Here in Florida, every time I pick up an eighth, it's gone like by the next day.
well, when you can only buy it in eighths, I mean, and it's expensive as shit.
That's probably part of it, but
Yeah. Oh, well. So yeah, there's definitely a problem. That being said, I do want to point out that I think the dispensaries are in a position, and we talked about this, so the dispensaries are in a position where they have to have childproof locks. They have to follow state laws. What are they going to do? And they do have some cellulose bags, as I said, some sugar-based bags and stuff like that. They have like paper bags that they pack it in that are recyclable.
yeah. And the DOH is definitely, putting some holds on them. There's definitely a lot of extra restrictions based on just the DOH itself, but and I'm not putting all the blame on the dispensaries, but I do think some of these dispensaries could do something to help minimize the impact. A lot of these dispensaries are putting information packets in bags of patients who have been patients for years. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't need a packet explaining indica, sativa, hybrid, CBD, THC. I don't need that. You know what I mean? And most patients don't.
Yeah.
I'm glad they have it, and I'm glad it's there
Should
for
be made
patients,
available.
but-
Yeah.
Right, and in today's day and age, it's fucking 2019. People go online and find this information as well. They could easily give them a QR code that they scan.
Yeah.
I don't need a 10-page informational packet of paper that I'm just going to end up throwing away.
Right. And then it just pisses me off because I don't like to waste, and then I bring it home. You're good on that. If I touch it, I'll never be able to get it off my fingers again.
It's funny.
This is going to be comical pretty soon. Everything I start touching will start sticking to.
But damn. That was good. Thanks for sharing.
So the other thing about this is too, so you can see they're getting less and less alcohol in there as you go. It's like, it was really full and now
Right.
it's like hardly any in there, and so
It
it
starts
kind of
evaporating through the process.
Yeah, it starts evaporating, and plus it starts picking up more and more of the medicine and getting thicker, and
Yeah.
so.
Well, it's a cool method for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of time consuming and a pain in the ass, but what are you gonna do?
No, ever get medicated, sit down, transfer some alcohol between jars.
There's an old Sesame Street Bert and Ernie scene about, and nobody ever remembers this. I feel like I'm the only person that remembers this, but Ernie was taking like one thing out of like a cookie jar. He took the cookies out of the cookie jar to put the sugar in there because he couldn't find the sugar jar, and then he put like something else, like put the cookies, like took something else out of another jar to put the cookies in the cookie jar, and it was like this whole scene like that. That's how I kind of feel about this.
That's how you
right
feel
now.
about what you're doing right
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
That's funny. No, but I'm with you. I don't like to waste, so I've tried a few different methods, and I really am curious. I hope we get some response from the listeners. I'd like to hear what you guys do with your, especially the concentrate jars, the crumble jars from Move especially, seems to stick on. Like True Leaves crumble, it's a different consistency. You can get 100% of the crumble out, really no issue. But Moves is a little more terpy. It's a little more, I don't know, it's got a little bit more of a live feel to it. It's still a little bit moist. For all the people who love that word, let me say one more time, moist.
They need a woman to say it too, just for to be on the dirty side. Moist.
Just even things out. For all the people who hate the word moist.
I feel like it might be different if a woman says it or a man says it, or the way that you say it. That might put a whole different connotation
Sure.
on that word.
Sure.
Maybe not.
Either way, people hate it. I like it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
You just like making people icky.
I like to make people uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So the one thing I do find though with the nectar collector, like you were saying at the end, you can kind of use a nectar collector to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Most nectar collectors, especially like the dipper from Move, I know you were talking about getting one earlier. As much as I like it, sometimes you have to have a decent amount of concentrate built up in one place for it to really vaporize it. It's almost, it's kind of like guarded by like a little shield, so it kind of has to get up in there. A traditional nectar collector, like the dangerous ones you found out the other day, those you can probably get it because you're heating the actual tip up directly, but I don't know.
Well, I haven't tried the dipper or any kind of electronic straw like that. So let me know if you know about this or not. But one of the things I ran into, and as you can see, is that I was sucking the medicine up into the nectar collector before it even got heated. I sucked into it and
Right.
it just sucked the medicine right up into the glass, and now it's stuck in there and I can't even get it out of there. So I felt like that was yet another waste.
Yeah, another reason I hate nectar collectors, but I mean that's going to happen regardless of what you're dabbing. You're always going to get some of the concentrate up there.
So like even the electronic devices are a little more heat controlled and maybe a little thinner or something.
I don't know. They're good,
Well,
but
you
they
probably
still
can't
look
see in
wasteful
there.
to me. I
Yeah.
don't know. I do like them. They're cool. I like the portability and out of all the electronic devices, I think Moves, and it's not even Moves, but the dipper that they sell there at Move, it's a good device, but it's still not my personal choice. I think as far as wastefulness goes, the Dr. Dabber Switch, the Puffco Peak, and light devices are probably the least wasteful, in terms of concentrate.
But it's like, okay, so if you had to have a choice with it, like these jars and all this leftover medicine in the jars, do you think a dipper might be the best way to deal with that as far as right now? I don't know. It just seems like it might be. I don't know.
It does, but it's still not going to you're still going to end up with residual lining all over the walls, which maybe I'm just being greedy and I'm like, I want all of it. But, with flour, I make sure I knock out all the kief from my jar. Like I smoke every bit of it,
Yeah.
I'll even grind my stems up with my bud. Like I'm not the type, not big stems, but like the little stems, what
Well,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Some people pick out every little piece, but I don't know. I don't like to waste, so I guess there's just no way you're really going to get all of it out.
All right.
But that's probably the best way to go.
All right.
I feel like I
got you.
just rambled for 10 minutes. You could probably cut all of that out. But
No, that's totally all right. I wanted your opinion on how you saw that point of view. So
Oh, wow. How many jars does that go through? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 jars? Huh. Looks like it, ended up with a decent amount of concentrate.
actually 10 kind of, but that was also had that old concentrate in there. The
right,
last
right.
time I did this in the bottom of it as well, so I just added to the top of that.
Gotcha.
I just put the lid on for now because we are just sitting here. Oh, that's an ash. Like shit, I'm ashing on the cool tapestry.
There's weed on it.
Well, I mean, it's a cannabis show. That's got weed everywhere. That's what we do.
It is.
So what about, so we cleaned this, we kind of showed your process with the salt. Another thing that you use in your cleaning process that you turned me onto was rice.
White rice, yeah.
White rice. Why white rice? Like, why not brown rice?
I don't know.
Or dirty rice.
I've always used white rice. I don't know. That's just what I use. White minute rice is just the best. It just seems to work the best. And preferably a device with Jesus Christ. Preferably a device with the least amount of percolators.
Right.
Or any sort of multiple chambers or things like that. You don't want rice getting jammed in there, but I don't know. The white uncooked rice just seems to add as an extra
Scrubbing
abrasive.
agent?
Yeah, it's like a scrubbing agent. Just kind of brushes off all the big stuff. And occasionally, if I've really let a piece sit for a while, I'll do the rice first without any salt. Just let the rice break off all the big stuff, pour it out, and then do the salt and alcohol to kind of fine tune it.
All right. So I kind of, since I had learned about that, I don't like it in my dab rig for the exact reason that you said, because there's percolators in there, and I don't want that rice to get jammed in there. At least salt, if it gets jammed in there, eventually it's going to dissolve down and go away. It may take a couple days or something, but it's a little bit of salt. It's not going to hurt anything. Not that rice would hurt anything either, but I'm not sure how long it might permanently get stuck in one of those little percolators. So, but yeah, I love the method. It's a really great way to scrub things, and it just works for me, And so that's another issue is, it's not just dirty bongs. We've got dirty dab rigs. Somewhere around here on this table. It might take us a minute to look for it. Well, besides that, I also brought, your bowl is it's dirty, so it's hard to see about the chazed. I brought a clean chazed bowl with me, and I kind of wanted to show people,
Oh, right.
what happens to the quartz as well.
Well, yeah, this one's not too chazed, but this is definitely what it looks like when you don't properly take care of your nail. I'm not going to lie. I mean, so proper way to clean your nail, obviously, as you know, is to keep your alcohol and Q-tip ready, dab at proper temperatures, and use a Q-tip and alcohol in between each hit to wipe out the residual. Mm-hmm. But like most of us patients, I tend to just overheat my banger and just burn off the residual.
Yeah, and overheating is what ultimately causes the chazzing.
Right.
So ironically, my daughter told me about some new inserts. I like to use the quartz inserts to go inside the banger, so I keep my actual banger cleaner. She was telling me that she had seen some ruby and sapphire ones, and then that afternoon I saw a thing on Instagram about ruby and sapphire banger inserts.
The whole insert is...
It's made out of ruby and sapphire, and apparently they won't chaz.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and really beautiful too. Running around, I think at $80, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
just
pretty
sure.
Just for the insert. Just for the insert, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But if it keeps your nail good, I mean, I buy $40, $50 nails and then go through them in a couple months, so...
You need to get a DH gate. Might have to wait a couple months for them, but they're a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that being said, I'll get jumped for that. I love local artists. I love artists. People that take the time to make glass. if my hands weren't all sticky, I would show you. I just got a beautiful, actually I just want to pull it out. I don't care how sticky my hands are. I got a beautiful bubble cap from somebody is a handmade item. I have no problem spending money on that stuff, but when you go to all your head shops, smoke shops, and they all have the same China glass that you can find on DHgate for like a tenth of the cost, then you learn to just go there and get most of your stuff there, and then take your opportunities when you do have a chance to get something from somebody that's talented and takes their time to make beautiful things for people.
No, that's cool. I have a lot of love and respect for glass blowers, and that's such a beautiful art, and it takes such a talent. And I don't mind paying the money either. But like you said, if your glass shop is just racking up the price on China glass for certain things, I'll go online and buy China stuff here and there. But I do like my local glass.
I just feel like for me personally, a banger, I've seen some beautiful etched ones. Oh, they're so pretty. I'm going to ruin it. I know I'm going to ruin it. So why spend the money? I'd rather spend the money on a nice piece, a nice rig, or, a nice bong. I'd much rather spend the money on that than I would a quartz banger, quite frankly. But I would maybe get one of those sapphire inserts.
Well, I'm going to have to look into those. This sounds sick.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, so what else? What else could we possibly have going on here? I mean, reuse jars. Bring your stuff back in that you can't bring in.
What about a third party? I mean, what if somebody started a third party recycling? I guess there's no money in it, so I don't know how you would sustain such a business. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be a better solution. I'm not here saying I know what it is, but I think between our listeners and all the smart people here in Florida, we can come up with something.
When I worked for the airlines, somebody made a beautiful evening gown out of baggage claim or baggage tags. Maybe somebody that's talented in the fashion world can make like some dispensary type. Oh, that's a big one. No, like some nice dispensary gowns out of these bags.
Or a full suit. Somebody can make me a suit out of move bags.
Yeah, or even just a jacket, even just a nice
just
little
a suit
like
jacket.
nice little dinner jacket or blazer, nice blazer. Yeah, there you go.
Out of move bags, preferably.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
some rise bags. That'd be cool.
Go. That'd be neat.
Maybe a truly fedora.
I'm not that person. Oh, fedora. Oh no, I'm not sure that the bags would stay. Maybe they would. I guess if you got like a wire. This is what happens. This is what happens when stoners start inventing things.
Hey, you know what though? I'm sure there's some creative person out there listening to this right now like, damn it, you know what? I probably could make something out of this. I don't know. What about like these jars? What if you like used them as like succulents? Like you could make like a little mini garden in your house and use the jars as like a little succulent.
Yeah, like a little herb garden.
Or an herb
Put
garden.
Some herbs in there.
Take out your
Other
herbs
herbs.
and put in some other
Yeah,
herbs. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. And I've always thought like even the glass jars or the plastic jars, but I just like glass. I don't know. I've got a thing for glass. You can see through it. It's just more hardy. But anyway.
It's glass.
I've always thought just like crafty people, if I could just find some craft person that does like beads, like little tiny little things like that, like they would be the perfect person to like give all this stuff to.
True. Oh, you know what? What about those, did you ever have that sand art when you were a kid and you had the different colored sand?
Yeah.
You like pour it in, you could like make little things. You could do that with these.
Yeah.
Do little sceneries or something.
There you go.
I don't know.
know.
Spices, maybe?
We care. That's kind of
Oh, what about
important
that?
thing.
A lot of these are airtight. What if you clean them out and then when you buy fresh spices from the grocery store, you could always store them in these jars?
Yeah, you
Because
could do
they're
that.
glass, they're airtight.
You can get little labels and put them on there and write on the label what they are so that you know what they are.
That'd be cool.
Because I actually have that at home. They're just not airtight like that.
Right.
But that's how I put all my spices in a drawer and I laid them all flat. And then I put labels on all of them and that's how I can see what all my spices are.
So
Yeah.
but as far as recycling goes, it does look like most of this is, like you could recycle it in a regular trash can, or not trash can, but like a regular recycling bin, with the exception of, like we said, the vape carts. Like I'm not really sure exactly what to do with those, but
And the bags, I mean, again, they're cellulose, a lot of them. I'm not sure who all's is or isn't, but a lot of these, they're not recyclable, but they also go back into the, they biodegrade, so
Right.
you can't throw them in the garbage and they will eventually biodegrade. I don't know how it is if they're getting burnt off or something, don't ask me, I'm not a professional.
I just feel like a lot of this stuff's gonna, in 20 years with the cannabis industry, like look how small it is right now and look how much trash we've accumulated so quickly. Imagine when the industry is, 10 times larger and there's 10 times more patients, like this stuff's gonna eventually end up on the beaches that we're cleaning up. And,
This is like two people's like couple months worth of trash. Two people right here. Well, I can't even fathom.
I know. I mean, this
With the
is
entire
pounds of trash.
Oh, yeah.
So there's got to be a bigger solution. There's got to be something else we can do with this. There's little knickknacks and things we can do individually to cut back on the waste. But I think the dispensaries need to step up and start looking into this and trying to figure out how they can, play a part in it. And also the DOH needs to take another look at this and say, all right, we need it to be safe. We need it to be, child-proof bagging and this and that. But do we need this much? Do we need all the paperwork? Do we need all of, the extra bags? Do patients have to take things out in paper bags? Things like that.
And I realize, DOH, I realize you are the Department of Health and not the Department of Environment. But please, you are so concerned about like a lot of little petty things, like if packaging looks a little bit too much like enticing to a child, but you're not concerned about all the garbage that we are putting back into our waters and back into our environment, and the world can't sustain that, the state can't sustain that. please think outside of the box. One of the things that I've approached the dispensaries about, and they've kind of been nay about it, and that's fine, I understand where they're coming from. Again, the state really can hold them up and everything, is some kind of like refill process, like the syringes. Like, couldn't they have like a distillate where they could kind of like, like pump it out like a soda machine or something, and refill your jar,
store.
And of course you could do that with flour. Of course, why can't we? I mean, why? I understand the state's holding them up, and I understand right now there may be a lot of people are like, hey, I don't want people contaminating my medicine. I like that my medicine jar is sealed. So I know that nobody's nose has been in it, nobody's hands have been touching it or anything like that. But if I could bring a jar back in with me and say, I want 1/8 of this, and they could just put the 1/8 back in that jar, then I'm saving the environment. I'm helping the environment.
Well, that, or they could just give you a whole nother 1/8, take that jar back into their facility. They can completely disinfect, wash. It's glass. They don't even have to remelt it down. It's just had bud in it, so they can be completely disinfected. If they want to throw a new lid on it, whatever. But, maybe an incentive program for patients who do bring the jar back. Maybe your next 1/8 is 50 cents cheaper or something. Just some small incentive and a way for these dispensaries to reuse the packaging themselves. I think we're all going to have to play a part in this. Nobody's going to have the ultimate solution. There's not going to be one factory who fixes this for us. We're not all going to be able to store knickknacks and patty wax and fucking our dog bones in them and shit, but
And again, it's not just a state problem. This is a world problem, but I know it's definitely a country problem. I know it's a United States problem for sure. I can't really speak for what other places are using for their packaging and for their cartridges and everything, but without a doubt, it's a serious problem here.
Right. And like we said, cannabis is just getting started as an industry. It's still relatively new, and there's going to be more products and more packages and more regulations sure to come,
And more people are getting more interested in those manufactured products, the concentrates and everything. And, they still are using flour, of course, but the more that they turn to those, the more waste there's going to be.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm one of those people. I prefer concentrates over flour. I'm not putting them down for that, just pointing out that that's going to create even more mess.
Yeah. Well, in some of these, you get like, I don't understand why, first of all, some of the dispensaries could be offering bulk. Some of the RSO that I get from certain dispensaries, like Truly, if it comes in a 3 or 4 gram syringe, but they're selling you 1 gram at a time.
Right.
Why aren't they offering a 3 gram syringe? Just fill the whole thing up, and that would be 2 less packages essentially that a patient would buy. It's small things like that would equate to something large in the end.
One of the dispensaries is selling out whole ounces right now, but I just heard somebody say that it all came in 1/8 packaging.
Really?
Like, what is the point of that? That's a waste.
Why can you not throw that in one giant ass jar or bag or something?
Exactly. Put it in one of these childproof bags. Just shove it in there for now. I'll put it in glass when I get home.
Right.
Like,
some of these syringes, it's like it's in a cardboard box, a syringe, then it's got a rubber thing to keep it from moving inside of that, and then there's something else inside of that. It's like, geez,
yeah,
just too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. So, like I said, everybody could play a part. The people packaging the stuff, they could reinvent some of the packaging and think about it. I think some of them could be sourcing. I'm not positive, but a lot of this cardboard, they could be using recycled cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
They could be using recycled paper to make a lot of this.
Yeah.
Paper products, at least in the industry. So, I don't know.
Well, there are a lot of things that we can all do, them and us. As a whole, it needs to be done, that's for certain. But then there's all these other problems going on, too, we have to deal with. How do we keep all these balls in the air?
Right. And it's, trying to get people's attention for one thing or the other. It's definitely hard, but I think this is something that needs to be addressed, and, it's definitely going to become an issue if it's not already.
I agree. Well, I think that this has been a good show today so far. Dip our toes in the YouTube channel, the video world, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost forgot we were even on video, but hopefully we don't look, stupid.
Yeah, well, I'll put it out there anyway. I don't care.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I got the hater blockers on. I'm like, you can barely even see me.
Yeah.
So it's all good. I'm like hiding behind my mic.
Yeah, I am hiding behind my mic. I got a little face, so I can just kind of like...
But you know what? This is good. It's a good icebreaker. Hopefully in the future we can do more video content and like meshed. It'll be a podcast, but there'll be videos and content to go along with it on our websites and on Instagram that people can go along and see some of the behind the scene content. So
yeah, and I think we have some more visual ideas for some topics. Grow house type idea or like glass blowing, like that would be a really great video, and be able to talk to people and everything, and kind of get an idea how that world works. And so I think there's a lot of things, a lot more interviewing that we could do with people as well, that we could kind of bring some of the visual world
For sure.
into play.
Cannabis is a visual thing, people want to see it. People want to, they want to see the process. So
You want to taste it and smell it too. We don't have smell-o-vision, so.
No, but hey, scratch and sniff stickers, man. Somebody out there, if you want to get your hands on some terpenes and make some scratch and sniffs, that might be an industry. Just saying.
Yeah. Wow, never thought of that.
Yeah, whoops, I just gave that to the world.
There we are.
That's free. You're welcome.
Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you all.
I need to smoke a blunt, so. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Have a great day, and we will cunt.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Candid Cannabis Conversations. Blunt Betty and Strange Slayer can be found on all the popular social media outlets, as well as candidcannabisconversations.com. Again, we appreciate you following us and look forward to you joining us for the next episode.